Hey everybody, welcome back to my Jeep Mod series. This is the third episode. I'm going to show you what we did to create the front bumper. After the success of our back bumper, which went really well, we decided to go ahead and get started on the front. And this time we pretty much just ramrodded it. We didn't use too many cardboard cutouts other than for the fill-in plates. It turned out pretty well. So what we have is a matching front bumper to the rear bumper. Probably for less than 300 bucks, not including the price of the winch. So stick around, and I hope you enjoy. So the first thing we bought was the winch because the entire bumper is focused around that, and we had to have that in place so that we know where everything went. The first thing we did was make plates where the original factory bumper bolted, used those bolts, welded them to the plates, and made a shelf for the winch to sit on. We made sure it was lower than the grill so it wouldn't block any airflow. And then we just started piecing out from the center to each side, getting the shape of the bumper correct. And we went ahead and boxed in the area where the plates were to the back of the bumper to make it super strong. And you can see there where the boxing is complete. From there, we set the winch back in and we started making our fill plates around that. You just used a couple cardboard pieces to get a basic shape, cut them out on the plas cutter, ground them down, tacked them in, and everything was just check and fit, and make sure that the winch was going to fit. You can see here that we angled the edges of the bumper to match the flares, and again, checking and fitting, and there you can see that the winch is below the grill line so we don't block air. Then we went ahead and boxed in the area where the winch sits, to kind of hide it and keep the elements off of it. And that's the finished piece right there with the winch out. We went ahead and made supporting legs using holes in the factory frame to support the winch to keep the shelf from bowing or collapsing. And there you can see the supports with the factory plates with the factory bolts welded in. So all in all, pretty sturdy piece, and it's not going anywhere. We welded gussets on the back and underneath of the winch plate. There's a better view of it right there to make it super, super strong. So the fairlead roller design I had to redo. Originally, the way I had it hidden, the rollers wouldn't engage the cable at extreme angles. So I widened it and then I inset the rollers so that they didn't just bolt to the front of the bumper, which would look goofy in my opinion. From there, we got started on the fog lamps. I used a different design this time. It's flat plate with two 90-degree angles because I needed them to point straight ahead and the edges of the bumper are angled. So that's the finished piece right there with the winch in place and the light holes complete. You can see the roller is in there and everything fits just tightly. Still able to get the winch in and out without having to remove the bumper. Welded the mounts for the D-rings on in place, and I used some exhaust pipe and had a tube bent for a brush guard. Sticking with the Modern Warfare theme, I used the plas cutter and cut the emblem out. And then on a piece of metal I'm going to use for a skid plate in place of the factory plastic one. And there it is in place. And then again with the sealer primer, we got everything primed and painted. It's just leftover stuff I had from the back bumper, so, saved a few bucks there. And knowing that we were going to do both bumpers, I went ahead and bought enough for both. Same with the Rhino liner. I used two bottles for the rear, and I used 2 bottles for the front. Inside and out, everything's completely coated. There's the bumper with the fairlead rollers and the D-rings in place, and that's it on the bumper. So we got the bumper mounted. And like I mentioned earlier, you can take the winch in and out without having to unbolt the bumper. That was the whole plan. And got the lights installed, hooked up. Those are the factory fog lamps that came out of the factory front bumper. Winch in place, got a worn hook on it, hooked it to the D-rings. Made sure everything was fit properly. There's the Modern Warfare skid plate installed. And another view of the winch from the side. So as you can see, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. We did buy a worn winch, stretchable cover for it, keep the elements off of it,
It's some special water-resistant material. It also comes with a spray that you can spray on. It actually lasted probably 5 or 6 years before it deteriorated, and Rex had to buy a new one. So before he left for California, we went and got another one and put it in place. So all in all, good-looking bumper. It really does match the back. And as I mentioned earlier in the rear bumper video, they're designed basically after the JCR Crusader bumpers, which are, I think, $1,400 for the front and $800 for the rear, not including the swing-away tire carrier. So, I mean, if you got that kind of money, that's great, but we don't. So I think ours are a little better. I used 3/16-inch plate steel, and in hindsight, I probably should have used an 1/8 inch. They're a little heavy, but nothing that really affects the handling or the characteristics of the Jeep. So again, just something that you can do in your own time if you got some welding skills and you have access to a plas cutter. You can do that in your own garage. Stay tuned. I got 2 more videos coming out, and I really appreciate the support you guys give my channel. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.